Welcome to this extraordinary meeting of the Parish Council. Before I start, this is going to be filmed. Now, if there's anybody that is legal, apparently, and if there's anybody who doesn't want to be filmed, can they go to the my right-hand side? So they... Anybody? No? I said this is going to be filmed, and if anybody has an objection to being filmed, could you please move to the my right-hand side, your left? Did you hear that? Right.
Brandon, could I do the health and safety bit?
Yes.
Right.
Dennis is, by the way, that door doesn't open.
It doesn't, yes, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are legally obliged to do the health and safety bit, and we're legally obliged to point out where the fire exits are. So in the best air stewardess manner, there's one over there, there's one through the kitchen, and the main door you came in through. Those of you who haven't filled in the attendance sheet, it's circulating. Could you please put your names down, please? We need to be able to clear everybody in the event of an evacuation. Right? It's nothing being pedantic, it's just a legal requirement, as I'm sure some of you will realise. Okay? Hand you back to Brenda.
Thank you, Dennis. We have with us 4 speakers. Simon Marjoram and Drew Hobbs from South Norfolk Planning. Can you hear me? From Bedford, he's driven all the way up. Roger Chenery, Highways Agency, and Mary, our own Mary Blethwaite. They will stand up and speak to you, and there will be questions. They will take questions. But I have got some written ones down, which, if there's not enough questions, we will use them anyway. So, can I put you over to Jill and Simon Marjoram from South Norfolk to start with? And can you stand?
Yeah, sure. Stand up so you can hear me slightly better. My name is Jo Hobbs. I'm the team leader for the team that will basically be determining this planning application that's been received by South Norfolk Council for 907 homes. And also it's my colleague Simon Marjoram, who's part of the team that have looked at the future plans for the Greater Norwich area for the new homes and jobs that are needed in this area. Now, tonight we want to be here to basically provide the answers to the questions that people have put forward, but at the moment we haven't formed a recommendation on the application. When an application comes in, we have the statutory consultation time, and that gives everyone an opportunity to say what they think on the application, and that's local residents, parish council, and all the technical consultees such as Roger here from the Highways Agency, and a number of other bodies like the Environment Agency. So at the moment we want to make sure that we get everyone's views and that everyone has questions answered, but we don't have a recommendation. We don't know yet whether we're going to approve it or refuse it. It is still up for discussion. Just one thing that also just to note that when we do make a recommendation, the way it will work is it's such a big application, it will go to our Development Management Committee at the council. Basically the elected councillors that form the planning committee will be making a decision on the application. In the week before the planning committee we publish a report with our recommendation, and that's where it will say all the different considerations, how we've weighed it up, and then what decision we've come to. So hopefully tonight we can answer some questions that you may have on the particulars of the scheme. But before we kind of go into the questions, it might just be worth my colleague Simon here just talking about the history to this site. Because this application, obviously we now have the application, but this site has been several years in the discussion with the council. And so Simon will just give you a little bit of an update on where it's come from.
Shout if you can't hear me. Basically, when Jo and her team consider the application, they'll have to consider it in the context of what's called our local plan. And I thought I'd just run through how where we are with the local plan and how we've got there, just so you can have some background to why this application has come in. We've been looking at the process for deciding where growth should... We've been looking at the process of deciding where growth should occur in South Norfolk over the past 7 or 8 years.
Could you speak up a bit, please?
Yeah, certainly. We started with something that's called the Joint Core Strategy, which was produced jointly with Norfolk County Council, Norwich City, Broadland and the Broads Authority, and that was looking at the growth we've got to provide across those 3 districts over the 18-year period from 2008 to 2026. About 7 years ago, a leaflet was sent out to all households across those 3 districts, and that was the first place that Easton and Cossey was identified as one of possible growth locations to accommodate future housing. Over the period between 2008 and 2010, we went through various options, doing both technical and public consultations, where Easton and Cossey were identified for between 1,000 and 2,000 houses. The final version.
Speak up, please.
Yep. The final version of the plan went to 2 planning inspectors in 2010, and that included major growth of 10,000 houses to the northeast of Norwich around Sproston and Rackheath, and then 5 smaller growth locations in South Norfolk of between 1 and just over 2,000 houses, and Easton and Cossey was identified as one of those. So in 2010 we had to start looking at where that potential...
Excuse me, can we ask those people at the back to stop talking? I don't know, this drives me crazy. You're going to have to shout because nobody in there can hear and they can't get in here.
Right.
There's
room down there.
Excuse me, do you want a microphone? Do you want a microphone? Well, if I got the key, you can have one. Only key you do.
We'll have 5 minutes.
We're going in the cupboard.